It's about 6:15 a.m. Saturday morning, and ordinarily I'd be taking off right now to go meet some teammates for a group ride and workout. But what am I going to be doing instead? Well, first, I got to go get the mail. Hey cycling community, this is Steve Grusis the Cycling Greek. With the air being so bad, there's no way I can go right outside. Both the 1.0 and the 2.5 particles were way above high into the zone 5 unhealthy category. I had found this 100-kilometer endurance ride on Zwift. I had no idea how long it was going to take. Since this was a category C level ride at 2.5 watts per kilogram, I didn't know if I was going to be able to hang on with the group till the end. After my warm-up, we were off. There were 300 of us. That means there were a lot of people that I can hide behind as long as I was toward the front. As it turned out, there were a lot of faster people there, and the ride leader recognized that and was encouraging those that wanted to be in the B group, so to speak, to go up ahead, and then we would form our own C group. Of course, a lot of us were trying to stay with the B group, which is what I was doing. Even though I warmed up at 1 to 1.5 watts per kilogram, not the 2.5 that were required for this ride. So it took a little bit for me to get my legs under me. Even though I wanted to stay with the B group as long as I could, any little splits that happened, I never jumped across. I always stayed behind somebody's wheel. It took a few minutes, but the B group finally split away. We were instructed by the ride leader to stay at about 2.2 watts per kilogram for about a minute so they can establish their brake, and then we went on to our 2.5. At the 1 hour mark, we were at about 37, almost 38 miles to go. And that's, again, we start off at like 62 miles. By then, my legs were well used to the speed. At 2.5 watts per kilogram, my heart rate was right around 80% of my max, so that meant around 130, 132. As previously mentioned, my wattage was maintaining just below 200 watts. Now, 200 watts doesn't seem a lot, but I've noticed that 200 watts on the trainer seems to be a lot harder than 200 watts on the road. I had 4 levels of procedures that I was going to use to try and accomplish my main goal for this ride, which was, again, to finish with the main group. Especially since the longest ride I had done on Zwift was 75 to 90 minutes, and I certainly wasn't going at this amount of speed. The first level that I would try to maintain was to be toward the front. That way I had a large buffer that I could use, and it looks like right now that I'm using that buffer. And I've done that, and then I would just slip my way back up again, and I'd be toward the front of the group. When I had trouble maintaining the second level that I would try to maintain was being ahead of the ride leader. The ride leader was the person with the yellow shield that was over his avatar, or in the upper right hand corner you'd see a little yellow shield that would mark where the ride leader was, or you would have the little yellow marker at the bottom of the screen with how far back behind you the ride leader was. Should I not be able to maintain that, I would go to the third level, and the third level was that I'd be in front of the sweep, and the sweep had a red shield. 90 minutes into this ride, we're about 25.5 miles to go. So we're a little over halfway done. I am back toward the front. Life is good so far, but I'm always concerned about how long is this going to last. Now, we started off with about 300 people, and it was that split, but we didn't have, I'd say there were maybe 30 people that went off in the B group split. So that means I still have a lot of people that I can hide behind, use as a buffer. Now, I look at the information on the upper left-hand corner, and I see that the 2.5 that I'm maintaining pretty much is still a little below 200 watts, and that my heart rate is still at about the 80% range. All is good. There is a concern though, and you'll notice it in the upper right-hand corner in that little mini map. Now, I have a little red marker to identify where I am, but that's being blocked by the yellow shield of the ride leader. So I'm in that group. When you look up the road, then you'll see another small group of people. Those people have been dropped by the B group, and they're starting to come back. My group has noticed it, And just like the hound and the fox, the chase is on. And that means we're going faster. And that also means I may be going through my 4 levels. Oh, I never talked about the 4th level. The 4th level is just hanging on for dear life at the back of the pack. When we were being patient or a little tired, we were maintaining our 2.5 watts per kilogram. But when we weren't being patient, then I was going up to the high 2s and into the low 3s. With 24 to 25 miles to go, this was getting tough. This was going to be a hard catch. Even as we got closer and we had people jumping across, they never let up. At one point, the gap got down to 1 second, but we just couldn't close the deal. They increased their speed. We may have been getting tired a little bit, and then the gap just opened up again. We had riders falling off the back. Even though I was something like 110th out of the 300 people, I could be next. After a bit, we increased our speed, and it was a slow grind to get them back. Eventually we did catch them, and eventually the speed slowed down just a bit. With just under 40K to go, I'm still there. I am now just over 2 hours and 92 kilometers into this ride. You'll notice I'm at level 4 now. We have the sweep that's just passed me, so now I'm just hanging on for dear life for this group. Now, since we had caught that other group, they've been trying to get away, and so our speed has been up there. So I've been doing around 3.1 watts per kilogram for a number of the miles there. Let's take stock of some interesting things that are happening. I am back down to the 2.5 watts per kilogram level, and I'm just hanging off the back. The end is near, and the barn door is open, and the horses now just want to get back to the barn as soon as they can. So that's what's happening right here. Now, you'll notice in the upper left-hand corner that my wattage is still around the 200 watts for my 2.5. I'm going a little higher just so I can stick with this group. But you'll notice that my heart rate has risen. So now it's actually gone down a little bit, but it's been going up to the 85% level. There are a couple things happening that you do not see on the screen. Me counting the miles and counting the minutes. I noticed there's quite a few Tron bikes out here. From what I understand, those give you a bit of an advantage, and the way you get those is you have to do an awful lot of climbing. Something like 1.5 million feet. Almost made it. With about 10K to go, I had to back off and let the group go. I did what I could to keep my wattage up because I wanted to hit that 2.5 watt per kilogram average for this ride. As it turns out, I was close at 2.4. I was also surprised to see that I almost finished in the top third. Okay, 115th, I thought I was last. I gave up the ghost, so to speak, or gave out at 91K. Still a good workout. Don't know if I'm going to do this type of ride for quite a while. For those of you in California, I hope you're keeping safe from the air. Remember, comment, like, subscribe. It's Cycling Greek.